Well, a year ago we had a miracle in the family. The cardiologists that were there said if she had been in St. Augustine, she would have died. You know, I don't think unless you're a mother and you go through that of possibly losing a child, and at 56 they're still your child, you know, it was like you have nowhere to go but to the Lord. And yes, we had hope, and even if she had passed, you know, we were just trusting God and hoping that He would save her, and He did.
It started one summer day. I had a friend stop by at the house. She drove down to the end of the road, and she looked to the right, and they could see that my son was laying in the middle of the road, unconscious. He started having seizures in the road, and it was so scary, and he ended up going to the hospital and had a concussion and is fine today. But when we look back on that time and that era, it's just a blessing to us to look back and see how God took care of every detail in His sovereign care of my son's life in protecting him when I wasn't there, but God was. Yeah. Gives us hope, knowing that we can have hope, that God is always going to be there and always going to care for us, and His sovereign goodness and love. So yes, I'm very thankful to see and have that hope, knowing that when my children aren't in my sight, that God will always take care.
Well, my husband Terry and I have a story to share of current, ongoing dependence on God. When we think about it, where is God in all of this? And He is right here with us. So it's just been a wonderful provision of God's care in little ways, even little ways. We are remembering God's faithfulness to us over the years. We'll be married almost 50 years, and we've been thanking Him over and over and over for His goodness. We may be at the beginning or the middle of this trial, or we may be maybe getting to the end. Regardless, we are choosing peace instead of panic. We are trusting and hoping in the one we cannot see.
For me, it was mostly like out of control. You know, he's laying there, and there's nothing I can do. There's nothing as a mother can rescue him. But as the ambulance takes him away, you pray and ask God to go with him and trust and believe that God's going to take whatever this situation is and be what it's supposed to be.
I certainly have felt hopeless and scared, but then I don't know. He's just so present. The Lord is.
And I know God is in control. And as Christians, you know, I don't fear death, and we shouldn't. And no matter what the circumstance, He'll be there with us. I mean, you don't want to lose a child. Ted and I both just were kind of stunned and just praying and being with the Lord.
I have learned that when I take my eyes and I look at the situation, and then it just becomes overwhelming because I've taken my eyes off what really counts. The situation's so much bigger, and I see God as small. But when I take my eyes and put Him on God, God is much bigger than the circumstances, and that's what changes that hopelessness into hope, because He has control and He does good, and He is great and awesome and is sovereign.
Whenever God gives me the opportunity, I try and share Christ with them, because life, especially today, seems to be a little bit out of control, and many people feel a hopelessness, and they don't have to feel that way with the Lord. Hug your babies, kiss your husband, because Ted and I will be married 60 years in December, and I have no idea where that time went.
Pray for your children and give your children to God, and then take your hands off, because God wants to work more, and He loves them more than you ever will.
That's true.
It's hard things to go through, and especially when I'm not as strong as I should be or as I have been, but God is always faithful.
Yep.
He gives us our story, and He walks with us through it, and then we get to share it.